fire scene investigation, and you have an indicator, and then you say, absolutely, always, this is the case. And fire, as I explained, is a very complex system, and you cannot have absolutes. Just to expand on the previous question, what the AAAS has done in commissioning these gap analysis is try to raise awareness to the problem and give very specific conclusions and recommendations so that we can address them. So I see this as, as progress. First, raise awareness, make everybody aware, this is a problem, and here's how we can solve the problem. And we need to put additional resources. So hopefully the funding agencies are listening and putting resources into the solution.
Thank you. You, way in the back? Okay. Let me just repeat the question so everybody can hear it. What happens when the AAAS report or any report comes out that sheds significant doubt on a forensic practice, and a particular court might rule it out, might not accept it? What happens to all those people who are in prison whose guilt might have been at least partly determined by that particular forensic tool? Okay, Judge.
So the answer is very much depends on the attitude of the local prosecutor and prosecuting agency. If the prosecuting agency says, you're right, we made a terrible mistake, as has been the case, there have been some examples of, including here in Massachusetts, of fraudulent lab practices, and there the prosecutor has said, we will reopen all those cases. But where the prosecutor digs in his or her heels and says, we still think these were good convictions, then defense counsel have to individually bring actions, and most typically they will have to bring it first in the state court. And then if they're unsuccessful there, they can bring what's called habeas corpus in the federal court. Congress, in one of the worst laws ever passed, called EDPA, which was passed in 1996 with bipartisan support from both Democrats and Republicans, has made it much, much more difficult for federal judges to reopen cases on habeas corpus than was true throughout the first 200 years of this country. And so many cases that should be reopened on the very basis you're talking about don't get reopened. That's the sad reality, unless the prosecutor goes along and says, yes, we realize now that a big error was made. The Innocence Project has exonerated 340 people now who were falsely convicted, and a lot of those were falsely convicted in cases where there was other forensic science, bad forensic science, given during the trial that resulted in the conviction. So this is a serious problem, and one that I can't give you as positive an answer as I would like, other than to repeat what Jose said, which is the best hope of changing this is raising public awareness.
Yes, sir, you over here?
Yes. I'll try to speak loud enough that you don't need to repeat it. My field is linguistics, and there's an emerging field of forensic linguistics. My question is for the entire panel, and I've learned a great deal from each of the presentations in trying to find analogs science and linguistics being used for forensic purposes might take steps to establish professional standards that will withstand legal scrutiny.
Bill, why don't you address that? And is NIST, are the OSACs looking at that particular forensic tool?
Yeah, forensic linguistics